Դուք լսում եք Ժամանակակից արվեստի ինստիտուտի ոդքասթը։ Այստեղ մենք քննարկում ենք ինչ ասես, հիմնականում արվեստ։
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us on this new episode of our podcast, Guest by Nest. Today I have the pleasure to host two Berlin-based sound artists, Selu Herraiz and Diane Barbé. Thank you for joining us today. Selu and Diane, they stayed a month at the Nest Residency, and they participated in the NOPA Festival for Sonic Arts, organized in Yerevan in various venues. And so I'm going to introduce you a little bit. So Selu is a Spanish audiovisual artist. He's also the artistic director of Rota, a sound art and rare music festival. And he also co-founded the experimental music label Aldarax. Diane is from France. She's a sound artist, a poet, and an intersectional researcher. She created the Alien Kin. It's an ensemble of wind instruments, percussions, bird calls, and little sound devices that she will present more in details a bit later. And she collaborates with dancers, dreamers, whistlers, image makers, writers. And so my first question to you guys is if you could present your background as sound artists and what is your main focus, like the driving force in what you do in sound art.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having us both here on the podcast and at the residency. It's been really nice. Maybe I can just share a story about how I started, and then it becomes a bit more concrete. I got in touch with an association in the south of France called Fonurgia. They're based in Arles, which is in the Camargue region, in the delta of the Rhône River. And they organize workshops for field recording, and they often have really experienced people coming. For instance, one of the workshops was an ornithologist called Bernard Faure, who has spent his life listening to birds and really has the face of someone who's been listening to birds his whole life. Very lovely, beautiful person. And, you know, he was kind of sharing some of his practices of waking up at 4 a.m. and then going in different areas and recording and counting birds. He was working a lot with the environmental bird association in France. And I did a couple of these workshops, and that really kind of started it opened something really big for me in the sense of listening and working with sound as a main artistic material. And yeah, it was quite an experience, really, to just be in the middle of the birds at sunrise, and that's your main job, you know. And there was something very magical there that kind of got me started. And then I was in Berlin and I studied, and here I am.
Okay, and through your art, what would you say? What is the thing you're trying to express? The thing you're searching for?
That's a very big question. I'm not sure that I know. I think a lot of it is searching. A lot of it is the art, like using a artistic creation as an excuse to, precisely go into the field and record birds, or create music moments that are really kind of very strong social bonds between people, to create different projects they always kind of serve a function, and I'm discovering what it is, but very often there's a very strong social and emotional thing that happens through the artistic projects. Mm-hmm. For instance, with this ensemble of instruments called the Alien Kin, which is an expression coming from a philosopher and a strange person and beautiful person called Donna Haraway. In this project, it's very much about gathering a bunch of people and working on synchronizing with each other and communicating with each other in non-verbal ways. And there's a lot of kind of it's very generative in what it creates in people. It's a sense maybe of playfulness or relief or nice kind of emotional relationships between each other. And in the end, the actual result of the project, like the recordings and the actual music that we make, is certainly very important and very dear to me. But it's one of the purposes, right? And the for me, one of the really main ones is the process, what happens during the artistic creation.
What about you, Selu? Your background, your focus?
Hello, Astot. Thank you for having us. Well, I engage with Diane in the thing of the process. Art is about what is happening during we are creating. Results are also important, but not as much as the process for me. Because I think the drive or the motor that moves me to create is transformation. I think art should or can be a tool for transforming anyhow societies, or at least creating new imaginaries and help to think about new ways of relating to each other, relating with the world. But this is maybe so pretentious. So for me, finally, what I understand from my practice is that at least I pretend, and I can be sure of that it transform myself. Mm-hmm. So for me, doing the creative action is just a process of inner transformation. I relate art a lot with alchemy, in the sense that it's something that happens outside, like a mechanical, material, chemical process, but it's something that at the same time is happening symbolically inside. So there is something in this material transformation that can be also digital. Mm-hmm. But there is a parallel between this and what is happening inside.
And could you say a few words about the projects that you have implemented together? Through my research, I saw that you worked on Tartamuedos. So can you tell me a bit also about this project, and when you work together, what's the artistic process, for example?
Tartamudeos, it's the name of a, I think, ongoing investigation. I think we started in Valparaiso in Chile, in a very nice center for sound art and sound research called Tsunami. They have every year actually a really, really great little festival activating different urban spaces. And we were there in January this year, and the idea of the project was to give a name to something that is very experimental, and it was a way, I think, of moving through the city and listening to different spaces, especially spaces in Valparaiso. It's a very mountainous area, and there are parts of the city where you have quebradas, which are kind of broken. It's like the broken landscape, and so a very sharp ravine in the middle of the city, and at the end, at the bottom, there's maybe a bit of water. And Valparaiso, there's really a lot of little hills, and they're all separated by these quebradas that eventually reach the sea. And so in the project, we were kind of mapping one of these areas, which are so interesting because it's like you have a lot of wildlife, you have a lot of plants. Some of them are native plants. Some of them have many different histories of, between people gardening and making kind of informal farms there. There's also a lot of trees that either the seeds were brought by boats, or there's a lot of eucalyptus trees, for instance. They're not native to Chile. And on the river, like this little river is very small, but it's still like a source of water, and so there's a lot of dogs that come and drink the water, and it's really interesting. You have many different many different kinds of users of the space and many different sort of neighbors. There's full-on sort of what they call tomas, taken land, informal settlements, right? And one of them is like completely locked, and the police doesn't go there, and people ride horses. You know, it's very a very kind of heterogeneous space. And so the project Tartamudeos was kind of about exploring what it meant for us to do field recording together. It tends to be kind of lonely activity. You imagine someone with a microphone kind of searching for sounds and you know, trying to get some recordings, but it's not easy to do with two people. And so I think that was one of the main experiments. Yeah, because you always have the other person that's looking for something in their pocket while you're trying to record something quiet. No, I'm joking, but it is a pretty solitary kind of artistic practice. And one of the things we were experimenting with also is authorship. Like if you're two people making the research and one person is really truly recording, why should that imply that person has the copyright of the files? So the project was also kind of asking questions like what does it mean for artists to kind of work together, but then one person is the author, right? And so we were experimenting with
to set some boundaries in the the roles.
Yeah, or to work, to explore different like Creative Commons licensing protocols, and to kind of work experiment with that.
So what it became very important was the relationship with the space and with the people from there. That finally, in my practice, but I also can observe that in Diane's practice, is like it's becoming something more and more important. Like it's not only about doing our music, but our projects are always related with creating bonds, creating relationships with the people from the places where we work, even if it's our place. But I mean, when I work in Blanca, that is the village where I have been living for the last 6-7 years, running an artistic residency there, and receiving artists that came to create and start a project or continue a project there, but also creating my own stuff there. And yeah, it has become very important. We are in a rural area, and it's important to get related to the people, and the narratives become related also with how this territory is,
And and did you manage to do some field recording in Armenia to connect, because you were very busy with the festival, but did you manage to go, I don't know, to the countryside or to extract some sounds?
This time not yet, but I was here 2 years ago, so I have a quite big archive of field recordings taken in Armenia with my friend Varujan, that is also the curator of the festival. So we came here for another project done in the telescope of Orgov, radio telescope, and there we were 1 month having field recordings almost every day. But again, it was a project really related with people. We were doing interviews. We create kind of artistic bonds, also participation from people from the village. We create some dynamics that get the people and the territory involved.
Okay, regarding the NOPA Festival, could you tell me about your contribution? So Diane, you have produced this installation, Sinsim, and another special installation. Can you present a bit what you did and how you did it? Because you collaborated with, Selu, obviously, Hai Karoi, and other friends from Yerevan. Who are those friends? Can you present a bit your contribution?
Yeah, the installation Sinsim, it stands for synthetic/symbiotic. And the main part of the installation is a kind of study of environmental sound. It is inspired from 24-hour recordings, like long recordings that I was doing in different parts. Some in the south of France, some in the south of Germany, in the Schwarzwald, the Black Forest. And the piece tries to, in 24 minutes, sort of explore different moments of the day, the quiet hours of the night where you have specific sounds, and then maybe the sunrise you have other kinds of sounds, and maybe the morning other kinds of sounds, and to kind of give a sense of these curves of activity, maybe you could say. But in this project, all the sounds were generated with synthesis, and so it's also asking like to what extent can we imitate birds or crickets or insects, and kind of trick people into thinking they're listening to a quote unquote natural sounds, and kind of reflecting on questions like that. When I arrived in Yerevan, I had, I wanted to make a composition for here specifically, and of course did not have enough time to do that. So that's one of the things I still want to do, is to make a 24-hour recording of a place. And I'm not necessarily looking for pristine faraway forests, but more I'm looking for places that are a bit in between, where you have maybe a park or a place with some biodiversity, and a place where you have and close by maybe a road or some air traffic and people and things like that. But what was very nice here is that we also created an installation that's kind of it's a counterpoint maybe to the original SynSim, which is really about environmental sound, and it's there's a little setup, you could say, that is intended to feel very cozy, very homey, with some furniture that was found around, and all the objects were found either from friends or from Hasdan market. And inside of this little stage, there are some speakers that are hidden, and they tell little stories of childhoods. Those were like recording sessions with Haik Karoi. They tell stories of home, like I put some recordings of what feels like home to me in France in there, and like a little discussion on what home feels like.
Okay. So yes, Selu, your input in the festival was mainly the active listening workshop. Can you tell me about how it went, what you discovered here, in the interaction?
Yeah, the workshop is active listening. I call like that. It's like a kind of expansion of what is deep listening, in fact, from the current of Pauline Oliveros. But I amplify this concept just for creating exercises that are also related with body and somatics. So that's why I call that active listening. It's a way of being actively available or present in life. And for me, it's like a kind of travel to a non-verbal state of mind, even if in the workshop we finally end in a very nice and interesting talk that touch many important points about what listening means in actual society. And the experience here was totally amazing. In fact, like 18 people came. A lot of them stayed till the end, and we had a very compromised group, people very involved, and I think they told me that is one of the first workshops about these topics in Armenia. Not the first, but there have not been a lot. So for me, it was a kind of important responsibility how to present this material or these topics to the people, and I have to say that I felt very good. I felt that it was very well received.
And one more question. I guess it's a question about the sounds of Armenia, the sound landscape. What would be, according to you, specific or surprising in the sounds here in Armenia?
For me, I was about talking about language. For me, it's like a very beautiful sound. Also so different from my language, so I don't understand anything most of the time. And then it became really a sound, no? It's just like a melody, a tone, an expression, and I feel that very alive, and it provokes me lots of curiosity, and I don't know, it's maybe something a little bit romantic, but I feel a lot of a near sensation, like
Proximity?
Proximity with the people, just because I love how they talk. No, so I feel on me a kind of open attitude or something that it came from very deep. Just because I'm loving how this city sound in the voices, no?
Yeah.
So it has been something very important for me when I came first in Armenia, and now again, and then I also I would in the city I would underline a little bit or highlight the traffic, no. There is something in cars that I don't know, I feel it very testosteronic or something, and is not perceived by ears, but smiling is something that my body perceived a lot, and I work on that, no? Other ways, smiling. I feel people smiling in the street a lot. And this is not so usual in Berlin or where.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I feel this, and my body perceives it. It's a way of listening also, no? It's like
the vibration of the smile.
What it produces in the eyes is directed, translated into the body sensation, no?
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure to have you in the podcast and at the residency, and good luck for your upcoming projects. I don't know in which part of the world.
Thank you very much, Astrid.
Thank you.
Thank you to ICA also for having us here. It has been a very nice experience. We feel very at home. Everybody's treating us very good. And also, of course, thank you to NOPA Festival, Varujan, Chetirian, and all the people that make that possible.
Cool. See you soon.
Thank you.